Hello, everyone. We are back again. I'm super excited for this session. I know I say that every single session, but you'll survive and get over it. So this session is one of the ones that I felt was really, really important for everyone in that job seeking category to hear. It is about all the stuff that you don't already know about HR. So we're not talking about, how to apply and all that, because we've covered all that. What we're going to get into today is the details of different types of employers, different types of HR, all of those secret things, how to hack the system really is what we're talking about. So I have three of the biggest experts in this topic around. We are going to talk to each and every one of them. So I'm going to start off by letting them introduce themselves. So we'll start with Jordy. Jordy, tell us about a minute about yourself.
Sure. Well, Jordana, thank you for having me and putting this together and to share this with Nick and Rob. It's a real honor. So, started a company called Seven Eagle Group about 8 years ago. With a mission to connect military talent with great careers. We focus on cybersecurity and tech, although we work with companies in all different industries and with any position. If there's a good job for a veteran or a service member or spouse, we want to help fill that for them. We have about 40 people on our team. We're all remote, and absolutely love what we do and are very passionate about it. So we're here to help you guys, and whatever we can do, don't hesitate.
Thanks. How about you, Rob?
Thanks, Jordana. My name is Rob Arndt, and I am the CEO and founder of a company called Buffer Springs. We are a training consulting firm that specializes in helping smart organizations build effective military recruitment, engagement, and retention programs. I've been in the military talent space for about 22 years now. I'm a 14-year Marine Corps veteran, and have been doing this for a good part of a decade and worked with hundreds of companies, thousands of veterans, and looking forward to sharing some of those lessons I've learned along the way with the folks joining on the call today. So appreciate you having me and appreciate everybody chiming in today.
Awesome. Thanks so much. And Nick, Absolutely. And I'll go ahead and say Nick's screen keeps going in and out, but he's here. He's with us, guys. So Nick, go ahead.
Hi, guys. Yeah, let me try and get this out of the way, introduce myself so I can find a better spot in my house. For the connection. So my name is Nick Bussey. I serve as head of military engagement for a company called Leaf Home. That is our parent company. We cover about 6 or 7 companies. So you can imagine we do a lot with military veterans inside and outside of the company, internally and externally. I also serve as the chair of the board for the nonprofit called Victory Bridge Foundation for veterans and first responders. Overall mission really for myself and of course my initiatives and the company is to really transform the way that we get our veterans to transition from military into the corporate sector or private sector successfully. And that really ties into everything that we're about to learn in this panel. So really happy to be here. Glad to talk with you guys, and thank you, Jordana, for having me here. And it's good to see you, Rob, and of course, again, Jordy Kern. I'm happy to be on this panel with you guys.
Awesome. So, guys, we're going to start going. We've got just a list of stuff we want to talk about, but if you have questions for these guys, throw them in the Q&A or throw them in the chat. We will try and keep an eye out while we're juggling both sides of this. But we definitely want to answer stuff that you have pending. You're in the room, so we want to know what you're thinking. So guys, let's start off with kind of a doozy of a question. What is the most common mistake that you see that vets or military spouses make during the job search process? Who wants to take it first?
I can run with it. Yeah. So yeah. One of the things that I see over the years is that resumes and some of the things that vets look at in the search process are too generalized. You look more at things that what you could do or what you could deal with doing, because we're used to doing that as service members and sucking it up and all that good stuff that we're used to. But the resumes that I see are usually pretty ambiguous. They're not targeted. Terms like, that get thrown around that are synonymous with service members, but are too vague, like project or program manager. Like how big or how small is that program? Or even like servant leader, and these terms that we throw around that don't necessarily target into a specific focal point or a job. They're just more generalized and catering to everything in there. So what I would recommend to combat that is really niching down and looking at the company size that you want to be working at. Look at the company culture that you want to be a part of. look at the company's visions and values and making sure that they align with your own. So that way you can continue to serve in a different capacity and you're not looking for another job as soon as you enter into another one. So as veterans, we look for missions and find missions that you can actually jive with and get behind and support, because that's what we're used to having through our time in service. And I'll pass the baton to whoever else wants to chime in on that. But that's the biggest thing that I see is generalization when we should be niching down and targeting.
Yeah, you make a good point, Rob. And I know a lot of our veterans, they struggle with translating their MOS or the military occupation specialty, or whatever you may call in each branch. And that's a difficult bridge to cross for some, as it is different for the veteran, also to opposing to the actual company itself trying to understand the translation. But I would say one of the biggest mistakes that we make as veterans is actually utilizing resources. A lot of times when we're transitioning out of the military, or if you're already out, we didn't really get much of a resource overview. And on top of that, there are so many available out there on the internet. Within LinkedIn, there's tons. You got That's the Industry, you got Jordy Kern's 7 Eagle Group. I utilize them too. And really just joining different groups. And the second thing I'd say would be grabbing a mentor. A lot of times we're kind of lost and we don't know where we are, or we have a self-identity crisis. And we're just really trying to figure out, how do we successfully move into the corporate sector, or how do we build that resume? How do we interview? All those things can be covered with the proper resources that are available to you. So start networking properly on LinkedIn. Find somebody who's like-minded, maybe a recruiter who is recruiting for military, using military recruiting programs of the company that you'd like to best fit into. And just also connect with people who are in the roles that you want to eventually venture off into. So utilize those resources and connect with the people that are going to help get you there.
Awesome,
All right,
Nick. How about you, Jordy?
I'm up. Well, good advice from both Rob and Nick. I love all those suggestions. My biggest suggestion, I guess, is I think too many people don't put enough thought into what they want to do. Like, what would make them happy? What are they passionate about? What career path do they want? And they just are very reactive, right? They're like, okay, I'm getting out, or I need a job, and they go start applying. They go to job boards like Indeed and Monster and Zip, and whoever's applying, they plug their resume in and just hit apply. And it's very hard for recruiters to get excited about candidates who don't have passion for that job. Like when I talk to somebody who says, oh my gosh, I'd love to be in the construction industry, I want to be in the home improvement industry. Like, I know Nick is going to love to talk to that guy, right? Or that woman. But if it's the person comes to us, like, I just want to do anything. Who's hiring? Who's looking for, where's the open job? It's so hard to get those people hired. I want that person who has passion, who's excited, who's fired up to get out of bed every day because they put some thought into what is really going to make them most excited for this sort of post-military career. And those people are very easy to get hired. Because there's a saying in the industry, which is like, you hire for the character, the skills, the integrity. You hire for the integrity, the character, and you can train the skill sets, right? I'll take somebody who I feel is going to run through a wall for that job and wants to be in that industry, and they'll learn the skill sets. So that's my biggest tip, I guess.
Yeah. And Jordy, you're speaking my language, because we talk with Recon Network. We're always talking about purpose, fit, passion, or like, it's hard for a recruiter to get excited about hiring that person, but it's going to be really hard for you to get excited about going to work in 2 months if it's not what you want to do. So I'm 100% with you on that. All right. So guys, let's just keep that same order. But let's talk about the HR department now. What do you think the most misunderstood part from the veteran side is of the HR department or the recruiter hiring?
In doing this work so long, every HR team that I've worked with is different. Sometimes there's an HR team and talent acquisition team of one in smaller companies. Sometimes that process is even outsourced to RPO firms, or we're doing some of that work to help build that HR, streamlined process internally for companies. Some larger organizations have hundreds of people that sometimes it's either good or bad. If you have a team of one that you're reaching out to, that's easy because you can find that gatekeeper or that decision maker. But then you have large, vast organizations that have sourcers and screeners Then they have their recruiters, their talent acquisition people, their HR people that are not talking to talent acquisition, then the hiring managers that are out of the process. So you have a lot of these different human and non-human gatekeepers that you need to go through and don't know how to navigate that process because you don't know how the sausage is being made on the other side of hitting apply. So also HR teams, something you need to think of now is coming out of the pandemic. A lot of HR teams and talent acquisition and recruitment teams are still down headcount because one of the first people when they were doing let goes and furloughs and freezes, one of the first people to be let go were recruiters, because if you're not hiring, you don't need people hiring. So now a lot of these companies are trying to build back up bench strength of people that understand their culture, understand the ways of how that company works as an external person that they're just getting started. So you have to look at what the company has, look behind the scenes, see what the organizational structure looks like, but also realize that these are human beings and processes that you have to go through as well, and take that with a grain of salt and make sure you're navigating through it properly.
Yeah, Nick, you want to throw yours in?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a lot of misconceptions on about what HR is all about on the veteran side. And I'll admit this to myself. Generally, when I was looking for work, leaving the military, first time ever, I applied probably to anything I think I could. And a lot of times I come to find out I am finding the wrong company with an HR department that
Oh no.
It's frozen. Maybe turn his camera off.
Might need to.
You want me to go and then he can?
Yeah,
back.
go ahead.
He's back.
I'm back.
Sorry,
Sorry
Nick.
guys. It's okay. I'll just get straight to the point. A lot of people don't understand, a lot of veterans, that the HR departments, a lot of times they actually have a focus on different various groups of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And there is a lot of programs, there is a lot of veteran recruiting efforts for the talent acquisition side of HR. For instance, we have a plethora. If you go to Facebook or say Google, they have early career programs for veterans. There is a lot of these channels, I like to call them, or referral channels out there within HR, and they are indeed looking for you. But I just want to make sure that when veterans are looking for a job, right, within whether any field or even HR itself or corporate, make sure that that company fits the culture that you're looking for. That's kind of another thing that we tend to lose when we leave the military. We're searching for that structure and that cultural fit.
My take on this, it's a tough question too, because like as Rob mentioned, every company is different. You might apply to one company and they have one HR director and nobody underneath him or her, and that HR director is doing 12 different activities, hiring being one of them. Or another company you might apply to, they're a department of 12 HR, and a lot of them are talent focused recruiters. The strategy that I recommend people do, I call it like when they zig, you zag. It's so challenging to stand out in the job hunt game, right? When you are sitting there applying to 50 jobs a day on ZipRecruiter, so are 1,000 other people, right? And you to be in a stack of 1,000 applicants they get before lunchtime, it's really challenging. I feel. I think you got to do your research, as these guys both said. You got to learn about this company beforehand. And if you really want to work there, don't just apply. That's the hardest way to get a job, I feel, just hitting apply and hoping and praying somebody's going to see your resume and call you in for an interview. You got to go that extra mile, right? You got to find that HR contact is, or who that hiring manager is, or the talent acquisition person. Go research them on LinkedIn, find them on Twitter or something, and start a dialogue with them. And I feel just by doing these little things that nobody does, it's so rare to find somebody who takes that extra effort to dig in there before applying. And just by doing those little things, you will get attention and people will find you and want to interview. That's my feeling. And it's so easy. Anyone can do this. To me, getting a job is not hard because so many people do it with such mediocrity, you know. And if you just do a little bit extra, show that you care and that you know, you're different than all the other, you know, applicants out there, I just feel you can have good results.
So that brings up a good point. We've kind of mentioned a number of different areas. Each HR department, each, you know, hiring agency is different, right? So what are some of those different structures? You know, Jordy, I think you started talking to them a little bit, but what are the different structures? And more importantly, what do they mean? What do those structures mean for a job seeker? How do they need to know? Do they need to know anything about the job, the internal structure that will help them along that path?
Is that back to me?
That's back to you.
Okay.
Lead off hitter. Mom.
Yeah. So part of what I see on there is looking at the systems that are in place and being able to like maneuver through those. So even in an applicant tracking system. So the safe thing that I will say to job seekers on here is that there are certain mandates that companies have that they have to adhere to OFCCP or Department of Labor guidelines of that, you know, that they have to go through certain processes. They're also mandated to hire veterans, but you have to be accountable in their system. So when you're navigating through an applicant tracking system, what I would recommend doing to like really make yourself stand out is read that job description in its entirety. Look at the need to haves, look at the nice to haves, look at the educational background. The best analogy that I'll give you on beating that ATS algorithm is think of it as a dating profile. If they have in that job description that this person must love long walks on the beach, sunsets, and puppies, your resume needs to say that you love long walks on the beach, sunsets, and puppies somewhere, or else that algorithm is not going to pick you up. Long gone are the days where you're applying to a job and your resume is printed off fresh off the presses to a recruiter and they're looking at it. You're going into a job bank. And if your keywords aren't matching up to a certain percentage, you're never going to show up there. So do your best, put your best foot forward, make sure that your resume aligns with that job description. That's your dating profile compared to theirs or where they match up. And then do the legwork where Jordy said afterward, and he hit the nail on the head, is doing that extra work. Find people within that organization, reach out to other veterans and say, hey, Nick, hey, Jordy, I see that you're a vet, that you work at company X. I'm trying to get in. I've already applied. Any recommendations or anybody I should be talking to? Because a lot of it is who we know and not necessarily what we know. And that can help you stack the deck, not only to have your resume in there, you've gone through the checks and compliance blocks they need you to go through, but then you're also being proactive and you're getting a by name referral or getting walked into the organization from somebody who's already on the inside. And that's the best advice that I would give the job seekers is double tap that. Apply, go through it, and then, you know, network your way into that as well, or talk to other people who are in that job.
Rob, you really kind of took every bit of word that I was about to say out of my mouth. Yeah, in today's, you know, most prevalent HR structure models rely on usually typical three primary elements: HR shared services, so HRSS, Center of Expertise, COEs, and HR business partners. And a lot of these are focused to have initiative to find veteran recruiting efforts, and that's kind of what we were just talking about. So they are out there, but the ATS is can be a monster. It's going to be a trick to really try and find yourself to populate and be, I guess, discoverable. And a lot of the reasons that people get turned down is because of what Rob said, that what people aren't doing actually. And we do want to match keywords. Every time you go on LinkedIn, you look at a job that's being offered or say, hey, come apply to this. There's a role description to include those minimum requirements and different skills and some soft or hard skills.
Here he comes.
That's a good sign.
And I am back again. All right. So when you apply on LinkedIn, there's going to be that role description. There's going to be soft and hard skills, minimal requirements. The tip I would give to you is to make sure that your resume, your LinkedIn, everything is coexisting. They're synced in perfectly so that when that recruiter, that hiring manager, whoever is going and seeking through the ATS for an applicant who's qualified, it's going to match up. That is definitely one of the biggest tricks you can have for being the ATS system. However, do not lie on those skills. You're setting yourself up for failure, and do not do what some people do, and they copy that description, put it in a white text on their resume. It will still be flagged. It will still be seen as a text on the other end. So be brutally honest. Really only apply for what you believe you'd be a good fit for, but also ensure that you identify yourself as a veteran on that application. That will not be received at all from their department. Like, oh, we're looking for veterans. Well, this guy's, there's actual functions to filter out what they're looking for. If they're looking for a veteran who meets those skills, and you meet the skills, but you didn't identify yourself, you might not show up when it comes to that search. So I'd utilize that as well.
Yeah, all good advice. I come at this from a little different angle because I just hate the friggin' job search process. I hate it. I hate the way these damn ATS systems, scour through the resumes. I don't know, maybe it's because I'm a little, I don't know. I don't even know what the word is, but I'd rather see you guys go for the quantity over the quality. So many people get caught up in the numbers game of this. Like, okay, I'm going to apply to 100 jobs. I'm bound to get an interview, right? And I'd rather see you just really think about who you want to work for. Where do you want your career to be? You deserve something great. Find 10 companies. Make a list of 10 companies. Go to LinkedIn. You can go to the employee page. You can see who are the decision makers at that company for the hiring of the department you want to be in, and put them in a spreadsheet, put their names, where they went to college, if they served in the military, anything about them where you can get to know them and go follow them, engage with them on social, and have a real dialogue with them. Don't just be a number. Don't be one out of 1,000 people who applied to that job. I'm telling you, this stuff works. When you do things differently than everybody else, you will get noticed. We have a guy who wants to work with us here at Seven Eagle Group, and he's not only reached out to me and knows everything about our business and watched all my videos. I thought my mom was the only one who watched them, but he watched everyone, knows all about my background, and not just that, but he's found a few other key people at my company, and one of them said to me yesterday, "Who is this guy, Stephen Clary? This guy set up a 15-minute meeting with me yesterday? Asked me," and that guy's going to get hired because he's doing stuff nobody else is doing. He's not in this stack of resumes that we're going through. And I just feel if you just step back and just think about it, like if you were the hiring manager of this company, what would you want? Would you want to pick somebody just because of, I don't know, the way a resume is written? I don't know. Listen, the resume is crucially important, and all the advice these guys have said is you got to do that, but I think Rob was mentioning how put in the keywords or I can't remember who, that's crucial, right? But you can't do that if you're applying this job after job. You just won't have the time in the day to sit there. Oh shit, I got to redo my whole resume again to put in these keywords. But you can do that if you just go with a short list of 10 target companies and go deep on those 10 and don't worry about all the other ones out there.
Awesome. Well, guys, I'm going to take a pause on our questions real quick. We've got one from the group, and I'm going to try and pull it up on stage. Hopefully it won't cover anybody's face. It'll cover everybody's face. Okay. So the question is, can you give a real life example of a resume or person that you reviewed and thought, wow, we need to hire this person or give this one an interview, either veteran or non-veteran? So are there any examples of ones that just stood out?
I would say parts that stick out. So with military resumes, I'll be the first to say this, and mine sucks too. That's part of the reason why I started my own company, because I didn't want to write a resume. So I know that military resumes suck in general, but what I would recommend doing is staying away from going into just the MOS manual and copying what your MOS did when you were in the Marine Corps or whatever else and putting it in bullet form. One thing that draws people in and I've hired people from is storytelling and being able to tell me and articulate the value of when you've saved the company money, you've improved a process, you've taken leadership of a different role or whatnot, and really stood up and stood out from the rest of the crowd that's in there. And when I can see that in a short story form, it shows that you're confident. It shows that you're competent. It also starts to paint you in a different light and humanize you past just the typical resume. So that's one of the things that I would recommend is try to put your personality on it, because a resume is not doing you many favors, especially if it's bulletized. Try to shine and show who you are culturally and not just skill set wise on a piece of paper.
And Nick's about to freeze.
He's back.
I swear the timing on your internet is just impeccable.
You know, it does say that I should be using Chrome or something. This doesn't happen with any other platform, so it must be just what I'm
You're
using
all good. You're all good. We're all
yeah.
friends here.
AOL disk.
I better get it before it goes out again, you guys. I did get most of what Rob said, and he nailed it. I'll say I've seen a lot of resumes for the veteran side that was a copy and paste of their officer evaluation report, their non-commissioned officer evaluation report. Yep. Had a bunch of jargon is what we're going to call it in the business world. Maybe it's not jargon too with the military, because that is a good measure of our success. However, it is not translated properly. So we don't want to see those things. What I did see that was really striking, or that was really, really attractive to me, that I did actually bring on my team, and they are still with us, was a resume that was worded differently to basically say, hey, this is what I've done. So when you're utilizing numbers or money, yes, you want to say how much you've saved for the company or whatnot, but everything needs to be measurable, clear, and concise. When I see a resume that is measurable, clear, and concise, and I can see that as a benefit to what our company can have, and with that person adding value, that's amazing. And yes, the storytelling, that resume is a story. I do prefer to see something that's nowhere past 2 pages or past 10 years of experience. So if you have a good consolidation of your experience in the military, and say you've been in for 20 years, try and consolidate that, and ensure that your current position is not past tense. So
You almost made it.
Almost. Last sentence. Should I start? No, he's back.
Go for it, Jordy.
You got to talk really fast.
I'm trying. No.
One of the things that's so challenging about the job search industry is it's the people business, and there are so many different people and personalities, and this is the way to do it. No, this is the way to do it. And the reality is nobody knows what works, what doesn't work. I'm just not the resume person to talk to, because I hate them so much and I rarely read them. Which just sounds strange because I'm in this industry. But the thing that stands out, you asked who anyone stand out. Yes, a guy named Zach Askew a few months ago. He said, "Hey Jordy, he shot me an email. Hey, I did a little video tutorial on how to do a LinkedIn page for a veteran." And he goes, "Your advice was awesome. Who knows, whatever." And he goes, "Hey, I want to show you a picture of my before LinkedIn and the one I did after watching your video." And he got me on the phone 10 minutes later. I'm like, holy crap, nobody has ever tried to reach out to me with that. And again, he reached out, he talked to me, and he just was like a sponge for information, a sponge. And whatever advice I gave him, he took to heart, and he took a lot of it, he leveraged that connection, that relationship he built with me into a job. And, I don't know. It just, to me, it didn't have much to do with the resume. It didn't have much to do with, I don't know. It's just something, anyone can do this stuff. That's why I say it's so easy. The resume is crucially important. You need to take all the advice these guys are telling you. You got to do it, but do the extra step. Just think about it and say, what can I do to stand out? What can I do to get people to pay attention to me? And, that guy, Zach, too, that I was telling you about, he took it a step. When I said, you have got to come to work for me. He goes, I am so confident I will make you money that I will come work for you for free for the first month. And you watch me in action. Now, how can a business owner hear that and say, no, you know what? I'm going to go with this person here who wrote who wrote a better resume, you know? Like, I don't know. Anyway, I shouldn't be on resume panels.
I'll keep that in mind for next time.
I hate those damn things. All right.
So we kind of talked about standing out. This whole conversation was about how do you stand out. So what are some really tangible ways that these guys can stand out in the process, either as veterans or just as candidates in general?
One thing that I'll say is that the industry is, everybody hates resumes. Nobody likes them on there. I mean, let's just call it what it is. But one thing that I see that's dying in to Jordy's point earlier of going above and beyond or doing that little bit extra, that's what shows you being proactive or shining amongst your peers. Over the years, I've seen a lot of things like the cover letter's dead. Don't send a cover letter. Cover letters are a waste of your time. To me, that's one of the most important things. And I know recruiters who will only read the cover letter. There's been a study that recruiters will only look at a resume for up to 7 seconds. They're looking at your top line information. They're scanning down, looking at your last job, and not necessarily that you worked at Dunkin' Donuts when you were 16 years old and going all the way to the bottom. So what I would recommend is putting something personal in that cover letter, or if you get the opportunity to speak to somebody, to Jordy's point, where somebody was like, he's like, this person was watching my content. They know more about me than my mom does. Like, that's proactive to show that that's somebody who actually wants to work there, that they're not looking for a job. They're looking to be a part of a team, and they're doing their research. They're doing their homework. They're excited about that. And that's something as an employer that you can't train. You can train them on the go-to and the how to make the donuts and all that other stuff behind the scenes, but you can't, to the point earlier of hire for character, train for skill, like you can't build character. And if somebody already has that fire inside them, snatch them up and just find the right seat on the bus for that individual if you have the opportunity to do so.
100%.
Especially with military people. We may not fit into that square peg, square hole or whatever, but turn that round peg sideways. We can slide right in there and make some good stuff happen. So putting that out there for our people as well, specifically.
Yeah, I get really tired of seeing recruiter postings on LinkedIn saying like, or my personal opinion, I hate cover letters, don't send one, or I'm so done with thank you letters after you went ahead and submitted for a job. I'll tell you what, even if that recruiter says they don't like it, if it's still useful to another company or recruiter, go for it. Even if you feel like it might be obsolete, it might not be to someone else. So still do that extra step, both a cover letter, and if you think you can write a nice little thank you letter, that's going to show a lot. And I'll tell you what, a company is looking for someone who's going to go that extra mile. And it kind of goes with the same thing on LinkedIn. If you go ahead and apply for LinkedIn, sometimes through LinkedIn, sometimes the poster will be available for you to message. So if you don't have LinkedIn Premium and you're a veteran, go and get that first year for free so you can have access to these features. And also, if you do apply, send a nice little note to that hiring manager who posted it if they were available. Send a nice little message.
And to that point right there, and to jump in, so with the thank you note, like getting a handwritten thank you note is the best thing. But now people are remote work. You can't find an address to send it to. A little hack to that is to write that handwritten note, take the 30 seconds or 3 minutes that it takes to have that genuine gratefulness, but then take a picture of that and then send that in a message on LinkedIn or via email or something else there where you show that you took the time, even though you can't mail it out. So there's a quick hack to that, but that goes a long way. I've hired candidates just from a thank you letter.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big thank you note, handwritten thank you note guy. I love that advice, Rob, because that is one of the frustrations. You can't find where the person is. For me, I'm sorry, can you, Jordana, can you say the question again? I got caught up listening to these guys.
So a real life example of a resume or person that you reviewed.
No, that was the last one.
No. Just kidding. Sorry. It's been a long day. All right. So we're talking about how, like, tangible ways that these guys can stand out in the process.
Yeah, I got you. So for me, it all goes back to who are you targeting, and just be yourself. Like, pick companies that you really want to work for, that you can say, you know what, if money were no option, if I were making $1 million, I would be so fired up to jump out of bed and get to work every day and do this, whatever that is. You can figure out a way to make money at it. Don't get caught up into only who's advertising. Think about what you want. There's so many great opportunities and great companies, and you guys have incredible foundations of skill sets that are going to make you great in that career. The money will follow if you pick something you love. I truly believe that. Truly, you'll interview better. You'll interview with passion, with enthusiasm, and you'll climb that company ladder much faster. You'll have stuff to talk about in the interview that's different than the normal, crap people have to talk about. It's just just really focus in on what you want and get that across to those hiring manager, HR director that, oh my gosh, this is my dream job. There is nothing more I want to do than come work for Leaf Home. And you say that, and as long as it's true to you and you believe it, they will too, and they will give you an opportunity. That's why it's not hard to do this. But most people, 99% of the other people do the exact opposite. It's like they'll apply to a job, say at our company or one of our clients, and I'm saying, oh, hey, tell me, why do you want to work here? Oh, can you tell me again, who is this that I applied to? Which job are you referring to? Like, oh my God, Seven Eagle Group. Oh, yeah. Hey, what do you guys do again? It's something with like, I'm like, Jesus, if I have to listen to another one of those people who are just applying for the sake of trying to get a job, don't go about it that way. Just go the extra mile, as they said. And I truly believe you'll have the success that you want. And why do you want to take a job that's not a passion of yours? Go after something that you'll get so excited about. And anyway.
All right, so we've got time for one more question, and this one's kind of a doozy because it's double-sided. So we talked a lot about your recommendations on different things, advice, but if you had to give just one tip in the hiring process to veterans, what would it be? And secondarily, if you had to give one tip, because this job search could be very different for military spouses. So what is your top tip for both or either of those demographics when they are actually in the job search? What do they need to be doing?
Mine is universal to everyone within the military connected community. Veterans, transitioning service members, military spouses, even military brats. Don't buy into these narratives that are out there. Think of the things that we did when we were serving. We never identified as victims. We never identified as heroes, although we get branded as these things for some odd reason when we transition out. I see a lot of military spouse programs out there that are like, just offering entry-level jobs. And in my 14 years in the Marine Corps, I can say that the Marine spouses were a lot more intelligent than some of my Marines that were in there. No offense to any of them. And I say that from a position of love, but there's more than you're qualified for than just entry-level positions out there. If you buy into either of these narratives and believe them, then you are what those are. Think of yourself as an individual. We all come from different backgrounds, different cultures, different creeds. We have different experiences in the military. Go out there and showcase who you are as an individual. You are not a member of the Army anymore. You're not a Marine anymore. You are Nick. You are Jordana. You are Jordy. And showcase who you are as an individual, and that your military experience is a part of that, but not something that hinders your performance in any way. Don't buy into the bullshit, folks. You're better than that. That's my best piece of advice to you.
I love it. I'm going to speak as fast as I can while my internet's still breathing. So, one tip that I've already covered resources, utilize your resources, but talking about inside the process of interviewing or the whole process of trying to get a job, I always ask everybody.
He knew it was coming. He's like,
I saw the defeat on his face. Wow. It's okay, Nick. You'll be right back. It's all right. Hang in there, bud.
Why can't we have good internet everywhere? It drives me nuts.
Goodness.
Adapt and overcome, right? That's why you hire vets.
We saw it all over your face, Nick, before it even happened. Go ahead.
Yeah. Just translate your story to terminology that's going to make sense with these hiring managers ask you questions. It's all about how you translate your experience so they can understand, okay, this person, oh my gosh, again.
Nope, you're good.
It's a good.
Nah, he's done. He's done. All right.
Who's playing the music?
Oh, that. I'm at my son's school, and they're playing
Oh.
music to switch periods or something.
Nick,
You guys,
good?
yeah, just how about this? Go and search the STAR method for interviewing. It's a way to tell your story. I did leave my company for a short few months. Oh God.
All right, he's getting hooked. He's out. 3
Yep.
and you're out. All right, I'm going. All right. So my advice, my favorite bit of advice is. I'm sorry. Hold on.
Mr. Kanozic's room, please.
Um,
Miles Hernandez to Mr. Kanozic's
You want to finish, Nick?
please.
Your kid getting called the principal's office?
Yeah. The STAR method is a way of telling your story. I did work for Google for a short period of time, and when I learned to, oh my gosh,
It's okay so far. Okay, never mind.
He's done. I'm hooking him, pulling him for the righty out of the bullpen. All right. So informational interview. By far and away my favorite job search. Do not go ask people. I don't like people just applying to jobs. I don't like saying to somebody, "Hey, you guys hiring? Can I give you my resume?" There's a saying, ask for a job, you'll get advice. Ask for advice, you'll get a job. Informational interviews, go up to people. I guarantee you, if you reached out to Rob or Nick or Jordana or me and say, "Holy cow, I love what you've done. How did you transfer from the Marines to to running your own business, Rob? I'd love to hear more about your story. You have 5 minutes. Can you share it with me?" And now you have a chance to really genuinely ask advice and questions and get guidance and use that to decide what path you want to go down to. And now you've built a connection. You've networked with somebody. It's real. It's just so much more real or transparent to me than this ridiculous job search process. That's my favorite bit of advice. For the military spouse, I echo what Rob said. For those spouses out there, do not fall into this trap of going after these crappy $12 an hour jobs that are going to get you to do ridiculous administrative work, answering phones and data entry. You are better than that. But I feel you need to focus on remote only and pick a career path where there's an opportunity to make at least 50, 60K. Do not go after these hourly jobs. There's so many great opportunities and so many companies who desperately need your expertise and need your, like Rob said, there are so many smart spouses out there who can add value, but you have to pick the right career path. If you go on to Upwork and say, "I'm a military spouse, I'm looking for work," you will get a $9, $10 an hour job, right? If you go say, I'm going to learn how to do cybersecurity. I'm going to spend the next 3 months and get a Security Plus exam. And now I'm going to be a SOC analyst making $50K in my first year. Or start out as that help desk and just look to the future, but pick a good career path that you can do from home where your location doesn't matter.
Awesome. Well, guys, it is our closing time. Nick, I'll just let you know, Brian Arrington is starting a crowdfund for your internet. So get up with him.
I'll donate.
Or a new laptop if you throw it across the room.
out.
I think he froze again.
He's
He
out.
can't even hear this. Well, guys, thank you so much for
Thank
spending
you.
time. And
Thank you,
hopefully
Jordana.
It comes back enough in time enough for him to hear me say thank you. But thank you so much. We know that you guys are busy. We know that you have a lot going on, and you guys giving your time and expertise to this group is really amazing. So thank you very, very much. Everybody else, we've got 15 minutes till the next session. Take this last chance to go hit the booths, thank our sponsors, visit with somebody in the lounge, and everybody go give Nick a pep talk so that he can get through the rest of the day without punching his computer screen. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you at the next session.
You got it.